Economics of Love
สวัสดีค่ะ Good morning everyone and welcome back to the 5th episode of Economics of Love with Dr. ขวัญฤทัย บุญญาเสนา and you can call me Cookie. This program is broadcasting from ราชมงคล University of Technology พระนคร We see each other every Thursday from 9 to 9:30 a.m.Thank you for sparing us your time to listen to our love story and economics theory of love. We hope that you will be inspired to love others, including yourself with happiness. Last week, we talked about one of my favorite movies, which is Beautiful Mind. It is a 2001 Hollywood film directed by Ron Howard.and was written by Akiva Goldsman. Its screenplay was inspired by Xavier Nasa's 1998 biography of the mathematician John Nash, a Nobel laureate in economics. A Beautiful Mind stars Russell Crowe as Professor John Nash, along with Jennifer Connelly as Alicia Nash, his wife. Today,We are going to continue from last week about the fantastic love story of Professor Nash and his wife, Miss Alicia Nash, in the point of view of Professor Nancy C. Andreessen. She is a chair of psychiatry of the University of Iowa, and she is also an editor of a chief emerita, the American Journal of Psychiatry.She wrote the article John and Alicia Nash, A Beautiful Love Story in 2015, which is a very interesting story for me, and I hope for you too. Welcome back to the first part of Economics of Love. As I mentioned before,We are going to talk about John and Alicia Nash, a beautiful love story from Professor Andreessen's point of view. Last week, we knew about the true love story of Professor Nash and his wife, Alicia Nash. Even though they died unexpectedly in an auto accident on the 33rd of May 2015, they were86 and 82. While John was famous for many things, including his 1994 Nobel Prize in Economics and his ability to slowly pull out of cognitive fog of schizophrenia, Professor Andreessen thinks they are best remembered together as one of the great love stories of all time. I totally agree with her.Alicia deserves frame of remembrance for her beautiful mind as well. Without her, there very likely would have been no recovery and no Nobel Prize for Professor Nash. In 2001, Professor Andreessen was invited to serve as the director of a newly emerging non-profit research organization, which is now known as the Mind Research Network.Dedicated to the integration of imaging technologies and genomics to study mechanisms of major mental illness. This involved a national collaboration across sites such as New Mexico, where it was based, Harvard, Minnesota, and Iowa.One of her responsibilities was to build the organizational structure by creating a strong board of trustees and a strong scientific advisory board. One of the responsibilities of the board of trustees was to advise them on strategies for economic development and sustainability. The new invitees for the board of trustees include distinguished national leaders such as David and Betty Hamburg, and also Professor John Nash. By 2001, there were approximately 40 years past in McLean's mission, 30 years past the time that Alicia brought the homeless and hungry Professor Nash back into her home and nurtured him, and 7 years past the Nobel. The Ron Howard film was very recent. The current journal editor-in-chief was on the scientific advisory board and mingled with Professor Nash at a joint board dinner held in her home. Professor Adricia wrote that if someone were unfamiliar with the book or the film during the board meetings or social events, no one except the very most experienced schizophrenia expert would have suggested his past history. Professor Nash and Alicia had fought to get his life back, and they had achieved it. In social settings, he held his own. At board meetings, he made perspective comments about economic strategies. Wow, this is fantastic, right? What explains this amazing recovery? Apart from the very early phase of his illness, he received no somatic treatment. His psychotic drained always over time without the use of antipsychotic medications. Part of his recovery may reflect the neutral history of illness in some patients. He had all good outcome predictors, late onset, reasonable good primorbid function, high intelligence, a supportive family, and most importantly, a wife who loved him deeply and patiently, never losing sight of the goal of full recovery. Although not a psychiatrician, she intuitively recognized that the best rehabilitation for him would be a return to the place he had been happiest and most comfortable, the mathematics department at Princeton. As the phantom of Firehole, for a number of years, Professor Nash would work in the library and appear in front of the blackboards in unused rooms, working out equations. Although his work with game theory won him his Nobel, he was more a mathematician than an economist. To his disappointment, he has narrowly missing winning the Fields Medal for his work on solving the 19 problems on Hilbert's list, a famous list of unsolved mathematical problems. He worked on Riemannian manifolds, the geometric study of curved spaces, and nonlinear partial differential equations. The mathematical community at Princeton slowly embraced him and supported him, permitting him to recover connections with like-minded people. Wow, you see, this is not only the love story between husband and wife, but also his friends. Actually, there are many interesting points that I would like to share with you. If you like it, please say something in comment box. And if many people agree, I might continue to tell about his story more next week. Welcome back to the second part of Economics of Love. In Love Theory today, we are going to talk about 10 Lessons from an Economist on Love by William Nicholson, is the author of The Romantic Economist. However, because of time limitation, we might not have time to go through 10 reasons. But I will tell you as many as I can this week. Then we're gonna continue for the rest next week. Let's start from the first one. Restrict your supply, but only once you have differentiated your product. Rule 1 of any economics textbook or dating manual is always going to be pay hard to get restrict your supply to increase your price. You need to be expensive because people don't want to get with someone who is obtainable by just about anyone. We want to feel that we have earned exclusive access to our lovers' affections. But don't go playing it cool from the off. They won't know that you are worth the extra cost until you have differentiated yourself from who else is on the market. Rule number 2. Incur time revealing cost if you want to show her or his that you are a nice guy or girl. A big problem for nice guys in the early days is they will do and say almost exactly the same things as jerks. Only they will do or say it because they like the girl, while the jerk will do it because they want to sleep with them. How can the nice guy differentiate himself without going overboard? Please see rule number 1. He needs to do something a jerk would not be willing to do. Wait, jerks discount future payoffs more than nice guys. And so, if the nice guy deliberately inhibits his chance of getting action quickly, such as going for lunch rather than dinner, he will let the girl know he's into her for real. Rule number 3. When evaluating your relationship, ignore sunk cost and think about opportunity cost. This may sound pretty brutal, but don't dwell on the great times you have had with someone when deciding whether to carry on a relationship. It's never a waste to end a relationship because you once were happy. You need to think about how many good times there are to come, or whether better times could be had elsewhere. Sorry, just being rational. Number 4. If they seem too good to be true, they probably are. Has a most amazing, beautiful, clever, funny, single person ever come to you in a bar and ask you out for dinner? The chances are that it hasn't happened to you, as someone else will probably have already beaten you to that person. In a market for relationships, where many parties have access to the some information about the assets being traded, good deals don't stick around for long. So if someone's single, they are probably single for a reason. Have to be careful. For today, we might talk about the rule of love, just only this. And then we're gonna continue next week. Like every week, before saying bye-bye, let's talk about RMUTP news. Right now, Rajamongkol University of Technology, Pranakon, announced 4 new students for every faculty of us. If you are interested to be a part of us, that we would like to focus on the future to be a digital university, you can follow our information from worldwideweb.rmutp.ac.th. Last but not least, I would like to say thank you for information from ajp.psychiatryonline.org and time.com/7391/10 written from an economist on love. To know more about love, we are going to see each other on every Thursday at 9 to 9:30 a.m. at englishonline.rmutp.ac.th, youtube.com/@rmutplive8792. Thank you. See you again next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
Economics of Love